from a book I read as a very young Christian called We Would See Jesus. It was written by a couple by the name of Roy and Rebel Hession. And so I call this the Hession quote. And it basically was something that really captured my attention, because the premise of this book is that God is more interested in our being than our doing. We think that it's best to, accept the Lord and then get busy working for Him. So here's what they had to say about that. To concentrate on service and activity for God may often actively thwart our attaining of the true goal, God Himself. At first sight, it seems heroic to fling our lives away in service of God and of our fellows. We feel it's bound to mean more to Him than our experience of Him. Service seems so unselfish, whereas concentrating on our walk with God seems selfish and self-centered, but it's the very reverse. The things that God is most concerned about are our coldness of heart toward Himself and our proud, unbroken natures. Christian service of itself can, and so often does, leave our self-centered nature untouched. That's why there is scarcely a church, a mission station, or a committee undertaking a special piece of service that is without an unresolved problem of personal relationships eating out its heart and thwarting its progress. And this is because Christian service often gives us opportunities of leadership and position we would not attain in the secular world, and we quickly fall into pride, self-seeking, and ambition. And with those things hidden in our hearts, we have only to work alongside others, and we find resentment, hardness, criticism, jealousy, and frustration issuing from our hearts. We think we're working for God, but the test of how little of our service is for Him is revealed by our resentment or self-pity when the actions of others or circumstances or ill health take it from us. What do you think? What do you think about that idea that God is more interested in our being than in our doing?
Because He's after our hearts.
Mm-hmm.
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 Yeah. How do you think concentrating on doing rather than being can lead us into counterfeits? Seems that things that seem like they're good things, but they actually are not. Just like getting involved in Christian work, but still having resentment and those things.
We can be so busy that we don't really have time to hear God's word directly from Him.
Mm-hmm.
We're reading a lot of other things about God's word
Mm-hmm.
instead of really memorizing His word and praying and just experiencing His love for us.
Yeah. So how would concentrating on our relationship with God help us to avoid those counterfeits?
If we're listening to Him, we'll hear Him tell us what He really wants us to do, what's a calling from Him. Sometimes we get burnt out because we're doing what everybody else wants us to do.
Or what we think we're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really clear to me. I in my whole life, since I was 19 years old, there's nothing better than a full tank of gas, open road, map in hand. Yes. Okay. I have traveled all over the place, and it's just nothing for me to jump in my car and drive a couple of days to go see somebody here or do something there. And so I needed to go to Portola to see those ladies up there. I was supposed to go to Yuma to help with the starting of the treasures class in Yuma, and that was going to be fun because I haven't really spent that much time in Yuma, and then all of a sudden I get asthmatic bronchitis, which didn't make me really, really sick, but it made me really, really, really tired, to the point where it was I couldn't even face trying to think about what to put in a suitcase, or, I mean, it was just like, I can't do this. And I'm going to the Lord and saying, Lord, help me, because I'm not going to be able to do these things. And I heard him very clearly say to me, you don't need to do those things. It's okay to not do them. And I realized then that it was partly that I liked to go, but it was also partly that I felt like my friends would be disappointed because I was supposed to help launch the class in Yuma, and I was supposed to help with something, and so it was good stuff. But the Lord just said, it's not necessary to do that. And there was just all of a sudden like this huge load lifted off my heart that, I called, I think, like 5 people and said I can't do what, we're planning to do, and none of them got mad at me. We're all still friends. So that's been a place where God has used His word. I will instruct you and teach you. The word instruct means kind of like what we know it to mean, is to give directions and stuff like that. But the teach has the idea of aiming, and like a archer with a bow. This is a powerful idea for me.